We had a good morning, good day for the most part. Gardening with um, gardening with Dickon. The two of them dug and planted and pulled weeds. And weeding is one of those things that never ends. Weeds grow and grow and grow, and they grow from really tiny seeds, and they make a whole lot of seeds. And there's been an experiment going on for 50 or 60 years now where a researcher took a bunch of weed seeds, put them in individual little bottles, and then buried the bottles under the ground. So he buried them in bottles to keep them from getting wet and germinating because he wanted to see how long they would last. And I said this experiment's been going on for 60 years. The researcher who started it has died long since, but his students or his students and students of students and such are going through, and every 5 or so years they dig up another bottle and they plant the seeds, and some of them grow. So these are seeds that have been buried for 60 years and they still come back to life. So weeds are one of those things that it's difficult to get rid of. So you have a little seed and it grows. And sometimes some weeds grow from roots. So if there's a little bit of root left in the ground when you pull out the weed, that little bit of root can then grow up into another weed. And some of them send out runners. So you have these runners that run under the ground and then spread up new weeds elsewhere. So weeding is just a continuous process, and it's ugly and it's just tiring. But they weeded, and the garden is growing better. And then she went in and talked with Colin. And Colin had asked for her to come and asked for her to come because, she's his only friend, such as she is. And he was upset because he didn't have her around. And he didn't know how to articulate that beyond I'm upset and angry and threw tantrums. And so when Mary and Colin were yelling at each other, and, he was like, "Why did you come?" She's like, "I was having fun." Both of them are entitled. Both of them are entitled. Both of them have to have their own way. Both of them are hideously spoiled. And the nurse had a good point. If he had had a sister, just like Mary, that would have solved everything because, they fight. And that gets his energy up, and that gets him moving around. And he threw the pillow, and he didn't even throw it far enough to hit her because he wasn't strong enough to throw it far enough to hit her. And Mary has shown a lot of growth. Because at the end of the chapter, she's like, I'm going to go see Colin tomorrow, maybe. Which means she probably will. And maybe she'll get Colin outside and they'll garden some. But we'll see what that happens. Now, one of the things that Martha talked about was Colin was afraid of developing a hump. And there are a lot of people who have worries that things with their body are going to go wrong, that teeth will fall out, that hair will fall out, that they'll grow a hump. And, these are things that are valid fears. But the problem is that sometimes you worry so much about them. You worry so much about what could happen that you don't enjoy having the straight back while you do, and you just spend so much time worrying about, will my back curve into a nasty looking hump? And you don't enjoy your back being straight while it's straight. Anyway. And they said that Colin, when he's tired, is more likely to worry about these things, which is true. When you're tired, when you're stressed, it becomes really easy to worry about things that you worry about. So, as I've said before, that habits are like a record. And when, record turning, and that the record can sometimes skip. And so it plays through a bit of a song and it skips and goes back. It plays through the same bit of the song, it skips and goes back. And the more often it skips in one spot, the more likely it is to skip there again, and skip there again, and skip there again, and skip there again. And when you get tired, those little patterns that you fall into are easier to fall into. So here Colin was. He was tired and he was angry at Mary and he was stressed. He's like, oh no, I'm growing a hump. Oh no, I'm growing a hump. I'm growing a hump. I'm growing a hump. Is he growing a hump? Probably not. Maybe. Maybe not. Lying in bed probably isn't going to help him not grow a hump, to be honest. But fresh air exercise would probably help avoid the hump. Because, as I've said, muscles and the bones tend to grow in certain ways. And so if you work the muscles pull on the bones and make the bones stronger and give the bone shape. But if you just like lean on the bone and you lean on the bone and you lean on the bone, you can get the bend, like the little dip there in the side of my finger from pushing the pen in. There's this little dip where the bone has been bent by the force of growing on it. So that's that, and we'll see what happens.